it's taken. Okay, so as we, it's kind of weird and ironic to say, yeah, as we get ready here for the winter break, we're kind of already home, so. But if you can see over here a couple things, and it's in the video course. Friday, tomorrow, I'll open it up sometime tomorrow. It'll be the Knidarian little quiz, which is the slides 18 to 35, okay? It'll be the same setup. You open it up, and whenever you open it, okay, I'll just open it up in the morning. You just need to take it. It's a short, easy quiz that goes with it, obviously, from those slides. And then on the Monday, Tuesday, the flatworms, which is even a smaller, it's probably 10 or so multiple choice questions. And then the shorter, even one on nematodes. As much as I like nematodes, I can't really get into the full effect without kind of having in here with all the stories. So I don't have any new homework with nematodes other than just the simple slides. 46 to 55 we'll talk about and some examples and kind of enlighten you a little bit with that. And then just a reminder, your semester project's due the 22nd, which is next Tuesday. A lot of you are already done. Awesome. You've already turned it in. A couple of you just came up and turned it in, said hi, and so on. So mental notes with that. I over 3 weeks been up here. So FYI on that. Okay, that is due Tuesday. So after this short little lecture and kind of putting you in motion, I had reading guide questions for the little excerpt on that, but I decided not to post those. So there was just a couple little short videos, and then I had a bunch of clips from other parasitic examples that I may post, but there won't be any homework with them. That it'd be no different if I was going to show them to you in class and then kind of discuss them a little bit. So I figured you guys got enough on your plate here, and I'd rather focus on the semester project instead of giving you some of the assignments that go with this particular phylum and even flatworms. Okay, so the little 3 short quizzes, though, easy way there goes in that test quiz category. Remember, which is 47%. Yeah, 47% of your grade. So take initiative on that and make sure you take a little time before you open it. Remember, because once you open it, then if you blank out of it, it kicks you out because you get one. It's not one of those ones like that. So it's comes straight from the slides, just like this. It's be right in line, just like the sponge one. Okay, so it's just straight multiple choice, straight from the slides. Okay. So I'm going to go over nematodes real quick. It's short and quick here. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the second light here so I get a little better backlight. Okay. So okay. I really do like the nematodes ones, not because I'm some person that really likes worms, but what I've noticed a lot with modern science, I guess, which I really think is cool, is I pay attention. I'm probably the king of dumb movies, and I'll watch it once, and if I really like it, I'll watch it over and over and over. Or I'm scanning, and my wife will walk in and go, "Are you watching the same movie again?" "Yeah." "Why do you do that?" I go, "I don't know. I just so So I guess I don't know. I don't have a question. I don't have an answer for that. But anyway. With nematodes, which is really interesting, is like I always use the little analogies when you see these plots in these movies and so on. Okay, especially now with a lot of modern movies and sci-fi movies, they don't use this stuff completely off the wall. They actually try and tie some true science to the reason of the craziness, just like in the famous series, The Walking Dead. Probably your parents watch it more than you guys, and some of you do. I was always into that. I actually even went to Atlanta. I took my youngest daughter. We actually went to the little festival for her 12th birthday because that's what she wanted to do, and she got to meet Daryl from The Walking Dead and a couple other characters. So like that. Anyway, but like in that movie, they talk about how viruses is what's the cause of it instead of something supernatural in the sense that they try something natural with it. So a lot of times, if you pay real close attention, I've seen in the last decade movies where even folklore stuff like cool stuff like like vampires and vampire movies and werewolf movies and things of that, or some level of some type, kind of like movie like an I Am Legend or Walking Dead. The cause of it is a nematode. When you get through the sci-fi plot of it, and I've always found that kind of interesting. That I really like how the people that are making the movies are actually trying to, even though it is far out there, but it is cool how they try and make it as believable as possible, because that's the whole part of buying into the movies and stuff. But there's been several movie series. It didn't make it a second season, but my youngest daughter was always, like probably a lot of you, was into a lot of the Vampire Diaries and all that stuff. But it was a series, I thought it was called V Wars or something. But anyways, it was about vampires or something, and it got canceled, but they made it one season. But it was about a nematode that the scientists were in Antarctica, and they had a large chunk, and somehow when they thought it out, there were some parasitic type that anybody infected and caused this outbreak, which caused this change in the, But I thought it was pretty interesting because they actually had some real life validity science, not meaning that it could really happen, but the process is how they explained it. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool that they're actually trying to, of course, I'm the only one that caught that, and of course I'm trying to explain that to my daughter, and she's like, Dad, you're missing the whole point of this show. And anyway, so on that note, a little bit with the thing about nematodes. Basically, a nematode, it looks like a piece of spaghetti. So nematodes are very thin-like. They really do look like spaghetti. The reason you give your dogs like heart medicine and give them their shots when you get them dewormed, it's because of roundworms, not flat. I mean, flatworms, yes, like cestatodes and flukes, but roundworms are also like the heartworms. When you give them their little heartworm pill, are various other intestinal stuff. And as you know, if they're like my dogs that are always chewing on this stuff, how easy it is to get stuff from grass and dirt and other different little critters. One of my dogs, if he'll eat anything he can get a hold of, I mean, it's so I'm glad I keep up every month, give him his little heart medicine. But they're tapered on both ends, so kind of like to a point, okay, like a pencil lead. They don't have any ridges. They're nice and smooth, so they're really not much to look at. We actually had them for dissection. And other than seeing this bolus in a jar of all these, looks like, thick fettuccine spaghetti, once you laid them on the dissecting tray, you're like, you wouldn't know it was a worm unless I told you, because it just looked like this white structure that was, pretty good long, and they were scaria worms, which is digestive tract worm, okay? But you really get to see, obviously, that, like I talked about the germ layers and flatworms, you see the germ layers that are more prevalent now, and I got a little slide, which is the next slide is probably the most important slide that ties the germ layers together, which I'll show you here in a second, right? And which gives us the second body style, because remember, acoelomate was the flatworms, was solid all the way through, like I described last week, like a Snickers bar where you cut through it, was solid all the way through, therefore diffusion worked kind of like a solid structure. But now they have a thing pronounced pseudo, like fake. Pseudo means fake, a pseudocolon. So instead of that, like mesoderm, they have a jelly-like aqueous type structure filled water cavity that acts like a colon or an internal cavity, but it's not. Okay, and then the only group of inverts and animals that have this body style before they go to a column, which not colon, remember, column with an E, okay, here with an E, is the same body style that we have, where inside our tummy and chest cavity, we have pockets and cavities. So that's what it means by a colon. There's a large body cavity that houses and protects and our organs and everything, okay, our life functions, right? So that's what that's meaning by body systems or body cavities: acoelomate, pseudocolomate, and colon, okay? So you have a digestive tract with two openings now, right? So meaning we don't have like the Cnidarians and where everything comes in one opening, breaks it down, spits it back out, and even flatworms. We have a true two-opening system where a mouth and an anus, all right, to where as the digestive tract works, it goes from point A to point B through an entire cycle or through the entire body mass, okay? It's definitely more efficient because food is only moving in one direction. Therefore, when you have body parts that are only doing one function, and that is abstracting stuff or absorbing stuff, and not having to then change gears or muscles and then retake it out the same way, it's going to be a lot more efficient. Okay, so even right there is an upgrade in the body style, even in a simple worm, from a little flatworm now to a roundworm. Okay, all right. So this little slide is the one I was talking about. It's color coded. Blue, red, and yellow, which is usually the standard codes when they talk about the three germ layers: ecto, meso, and endoderm. Ecto meaning blue. I always associate it with like body heat. Obviously the outermost thing would, like when you turn blue, your hands get cold. Red is a little more insulated and warm, and yellow I always refer to, I think of like guts. That's kind of gross, but like your internal tissues and organs and so on. So maybe that's how they decided to color code them too as well. But you can color code them any way. But if you go from before we even had them all the way back to basic animals like a tube sponges, what we just called a two-layered acoelomate, to the acoelomate, pseudocolum, and then we haven't even got to the columate, which is segmented worms, which is like earthworms we're familiar with, that you see all the time. Okay, that's the next. There's actually three groups of worms. Flat, round, and segmented is what they mean, or annelids. Okay, but you see what it talks about here is here in the middle would be just your standard digestive tract. So on the outside of that, you have your three germ layers. The endo, which is the middle, meso meaning middle, and ecto. So I know that doesn't sound like very, very important or whatever it is. I hope everybody's still there, even though I'm not being one of those teachers that says, hey, turn your cameras on or I'm going to write you up, right? So hope you guys are doing that common courtesy as I turn around here and notice that most of your cameras are off. Yeah. So anyways, with the three germ layers here, you see how it's solid all the way through. So I refer to the acolumate. That's what it means by solid. So if you were to cut through to the digestive tract, there's no gap. So that's what it means by a solid body cavity, like a candy bar. Okay. So then you get over here and you see this white pocket. Okay. This is what they call the pseudocolum, because you see up here with this upper right picture, you see these little pockets. All right. In columns, okay, or in organisms that are up from annelids up, that's mollusks, that's arthropods, that's amphibians, reptiles, birds, mammals, all of us, this is where in these columns, where these mesoderm, these germ layers, develop our stomach, our kidneys, our liver, our intestines, and all that heart, and all that type of stuff is all in these cavities. That's what these cavities house, okay? But not here. This is the start of it, but as you see, it's fake because the key thing that separates the definition, and this will definitely be a simple multiple choice question, is what separates a pseudocolum from a colum? The interior cavity is completely lined with mesoderm. So you see there's no red on this side of the cavity, but there is here. So there's this little barrier that cuts across. So, but really is a true design, because people go, well, I see a cavity there, it's just kind of segmented out. But what truly differentiates a pseudocolum from the other is the ability, or has a completely lined inner cavity with mesoderm, the red, okay? So we don't have a completely lined cavity, so therefore it's a fake type colum. So, and this is the only group of organisms in this phylum, these nematodes, all right, that actually have this body cavity setup, okay? All right? So once you go quick, bang, 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 and when we get to that one and the next one, we won't get to that till you come back from Christmas and all that stuff. But then from there on out, everything will be a colon, because you start having organs and systems more advanced and structures that we're familiar with. Like I said, kidneys, intestines, true digestive tracts, true reproductive systems, true central nervous systems, a pumping heart, arteries, veins, that kind of stuff, okay? All right. So let's get into the systematis real quick. We're done. So roundworms are carnivores. Okay, a lot of them are parasitic. Many are parasitic, not all, but the roundworms get a really bad thing because the majority of the TV shows, or any time you hear of somebody contracting a parasite, or they talk about the popular TV shows like Naked and Afraid or this, and they talk about that they contracted a parasite. Usually it's a roundworm, from uncooked food, or even in the soil, or water contaminated, or just whatever it might be. But roundworms get a really bad rap. A lot of them, that's where you find them, moist soils, and so on of that nature. Respiration, circulation, excretion, like flatworms, they do all their gas exchange metabolically through their body wall, so it's diffusion, okay, same thing. They depend on diffusion to carry out nutrients, waste, and all that through their bodies, okay? They do have nerves that extend from their ganglia, so they do have a little tiny 1 or 2 or 3 nerve cells in the anterior, or the head region of the organism that run the length of the body, okay? Okay, they have several sense organs. The reason they have sense organs is a lot of these nematodes have ingrained characteristic behaviors that when they ingest themselves into a host, human, pig, cow, whatever, right? They have certain sense organs that detect like pheromones or chemical messengers that attract them through the bloodstream to the intestinal system, the liver, the brain, whatever it might be, so that where they thrive or they can reproduce or call home. Okay. When they move, though, there's a lot of roundworms that are very painful. Gosh darn it, I can't think of the name of the one, but you might have seen, I'll get the names of them. If we were in class, we'd have had a whole list of them, which you guys would have looked up. But there's one worm that tunnels underneath your skin, and it looks like kind of a varicose vein. and a lot of times they tunnel under the skin between the skin, the epidermis, just under the epidermis, and the dermal layer above the muscle. Very, very painful along the connective tissue. And then a lot of times then they poke themselves out through the skin. This is a lot in third world countries. You don't have to worry about it here. It's just tropical settings. But you can't grab the little worm and pull it out like a piece of spaghetti, because they got all these little barbs that then they see that thing and they hold on and they'll tear, and then they can go back in and they can reproduce. So they would take these little pieces of bamboo, looks like a little toothpick, and like a sardine can, they would roll the worm up and leave this little stick on their hand or their leg. A lot of times they're on their shin, okay, or on the side of their foot. So very painful. And then as the worm would relax, come a little more, they just roll it a little more. So it's like rolling up, you know, a rug or something, and that's how they would have to get the worm out of their body cavity, is they would roll it up, which is very painful. And I want to, it's not a hookworm, not a scar, I cannot think, filarial worms, I think that's the category of those. A lot of those worms you can get from walking barefoot in sand, tropical settings. They have these very invasive small things that they bore into the soles of your feet, into the skin, and get under the skin that way. You know, it sounds really gross stuff. Like I said, you don't have to worry about that because you're not in those type of settings, right? There's lots of those little ones that, yes, that you can't see, that are why so many third world countries and areas like that have a higher mortality rate, or things of that nature, or malnutrition, or things of that nature, because a lot of them feed off the digestive tracts of humans and various other organisms which cause those conditions, okay? But what's most painful is the pseudocolum is they have what they call like a thrashing motion, because that water shifts kind of like a water when the muscles flex. So they don't have this nice serpentine crawling motion like a normal snake or worm. So when they move, it's like a thrashing S. So it's very violent. It's effective, but it's not real smooth. So the best word to describe how they move with this hydrostatic scale is they thrash. They whip back and forth. And that's how they either get through soil, water, or even through body tissues, which obviously is extremely painful. If you ever watch those TV shows, Monsters Inside Me, you'll hear the testimonies of the people that talk about how painful it is if they found out they had a parasite, and they diagnose it in the show and so on. It makes it more melodramatic, but very, very painful. Okay. Reproduction-wise, most are sexually. They have separate sexes. So same thing, depositing the gamete, no different than any type of copulation or reproduction with any other two-sex organisms. Okay, so no problem with that. Okay, here's a couple of the popular ones. Trichinosis, okay, which causes trichinella, which is a condition. So adult worms live and mate in the intestines of the host. You'll find out a lot of worms, not only tapeworms, but a lot of things. They love the digestive tract because it's a free supply of food. Okay. So they already have this digestive, so they like to attach themselves and reproduce larvae and so on, and then they'll bore out from there through tissue walls and so on, migrate to the brain or to liver, or, wherever they feel like they want to call home. Okay, have fertilized eggs and so on. Larvae travel through the bloodstream, and they can burrow into wherever they feel comfortable. Very, very painful. A lot of them are. If we were to research one of the many different roundworms, you would see how ew factor it is. I guess you might want to say if you were to read about it. All right. Filarial worms, that's the one I was talking about. Thread-like worms that live in the blood and the lymph vessels, okay? You know this condition. A lot of times they're transmitted from insect bites. You'll find out that mosquitoes are a popular vector. Ticks are a popular vector. Leeches are a popular vector. Fleas, meaning they're the host that when they bite mammals, they pass on the larvae or the eggs, and that's how a lot of times infection, Zika virus, just like viruses, a lot of nematodes are also transmitted that way as well. Okay, so this condition. Here is a cross-section slide. So this is a worm embedded in muscle tissue that obviously was moving, very painful. Here's a encapsulated cyst egg of one in the muscle tissue, a larvae, that when they start tunneling and moving around, very, very, very painful. Okay, lots of swelling, like when you have lymph nodes in your neck, and here, tonsillitis and various other areas. Lymph, guys and gals, is what keeps our cells moist, okay? Because think about it, they're not just saturated with blood because they transmit stuff into our blood, so there's a fluid based on it. So our lymph nodes is kind of like our internal lubricant, I guess you might want to say, with it. So when things are amiss or whatever, the lymph nodes can produce excessive amounts of lymph, which gives you those fluid soft pockets or swelling, from an infection, or letting you know, hey, there's something going on. Also pain, swelling, and so on. So Trichinella, the filarial worm too as well, causes excessive amounts of lymph. And I'll show you this picture, which you might already look forward, is coming up here. So large numbers of filarial worms may block lymph vessels, causing enormous swelling. They call this elephantitis. Okay? All right? And there you go. Boom. All right? That'll ruin your whole day. Okay? This lady has filarial worms, all right, that she has in her body, that obviously, and various others, but you see how large that is, and everybody goes, oh my gosh. And so you've heard of the term elephantitis. Okay? Now, elephantitis can be caused by a number of different other conditions. One of the main ones of getting elephantitis is a parasitic infection. Okay? So depending on where they're at, you see all this excess fluid, you'd think, gosh, can you just make a little incision and drain out that fluid? No, it doesn't work. It's like really, it's saturated in there. So most times when these worms get so infested in individuals, they have to live with it the rest of their life because A, they don't have the resources where they live, they don't have health care, they don't have medicine cabinets, they don't have the technology. And once a lot of times these things get so bad, you just can't get rid of them when there's that bad infested. So you think you got it bad because you can't get Wi-Fi or Starbucks is closed. Try dealing with stuff like this when you go outside. I mean, there is that. So in our little sheltered, perfect little, utopian society. So, but yeah, this is just one of many. I mean, but this is basically the swelling because of a worm. Okay, all right. Go back to that picture of the scaria worms real quick. Okay, the scaria worms there's a very large one. I got a large bolus of one here. So when also the little videos that when I post this, that I put the little guy that I didn't do the reading guide with, and there's like a 1 minute Monsters Inside Me that actually talks about the scaria worm because that's what the guy had ingested in his stomach. Okay, but they cause severe blockage. A lot of times in animals, if you heard about dogs that have worms, this is the worms they have. If they have an intestinal worms, usually it's these guys. Looks like a big lump of noodles that you get from, there you go. There's a large bolus. This is a large bolus of worms removed from the belly of a dog. I know that picture for a fact. And I know it kind of looks like, maybe something teriyaki sauce and noodles. You might get it, Panda Express or something. I don't know. Hopefully I ruined your lunch for the day. But you can see how these things, once they get so large in size, everything that goes in as they reproduce, they health conditions. Unfortunately, the animal. That's why it's important to, like I said, you give them their shots, their heart medicine, those little chewables, and things of that nature. And stay up on that stuff because it is really easy for them to get parasites. Or when you buy a new puppy, you take them and you start that deworming and they get sick or that stuff they shoot up their nose and a few shots and so on. This is a lot of the main things, and they take a sample of that because that can be life-threatening and obviously cause death if they're not treated. Okay, with that. I saw somewhere a quote that it's very possible, and I know this sounds statistically, I don't know if it was just in third world countries, but a quarter or half, it might be in one of the videos, I think they said it's an older one. It's a ridiculous number of people that actually have some level of roundworm infestation in their body. Not us, because you got to remember, we're just a small populace, but we're factoring in worldwide populations in tropical settings, so there's a high number of that, right? But there is a large infestation, which we would have spent 2 or 3 days on individual ailments, talking about them here in class and showing some stuff on them, but just kind of modifying that. On this one we had 10 different viruses, or 10 different worms, that parasitic worms that we do a little research on it. Where they at, what they cause, will you survive, that kind of stuff. Okay. So this is that. So really quick to the point, and that should be the end of the PowerPoint. So you got your, and this right here, this is an actual CDC poster that if you're in, Cambodia, you're in some place, maybe Red Cross or, a mission or something, this is helping trying to explain to the locals that there's that communication barrier about the importance of, sanitation, proper sewage treatment, you know, soil cleaning things, boiling stuff about how the fertilized eggs and how they can get into your system. You know, so trying to educate. So this is an actual, you know, a simple little CBC excerpt trying to replace words with pictures and explain these. So hopefully they could lower in maybe in certain areas or certain places in the world that where the infections are bad. Okay, so all right, so that and that. So whoops, I haven't even posted it yet. So hold on, yeah, great. All right. So put this up here at the 17th. All right, so those are those little two short. One about meet the importance of nematodes. I think it's like 12 minutes long, and then the Ascaria worm was just a little excerpt there. This is, you know, straight from a little minute and a half clip from just some symptoms from an individual that had from that TV show Monster Assignment from the Sci-Fi Channel. I think that's what it's on or whatever. Okay, so put the lights back on. There's no new assignments. You got a quiz tomorrow. I'll unlock it over Nigerian slides 18 to 35. You got your semester project. You know, like I said, looking in here, it looks like everybody's here, but I hope you guys are staying up on that. If not, guys and gals, remember I'm here, okay, with the text. Even if you're done or almost done, most people, the same time frame it would take like an hour and a half block. That's why I'm not having anything new. Assignments, just wanted to cover this for the short quiz next week, but there's no new assignments for that, just getting caught up with everything. And between today, tomorrow, Monday, Tuesday, if you're the biggest procrastinator in the world, there's still time. And like I said, to me, the glass is always half full. So you have still plenty of time to get it done, especially if you're here those 1 or 2 days, at least the one day in here. I know many of you knew what you were doing, had 5 or 6 of them done before the last actual class period in here. So, you know, a couple hours work and you're done. Staple it, nice and neat, turn it in, and nothing to have to worry about. Okay. So anyway, that's the 22nd. So you got a little, like I said, a little quiz tomorrow. I'll unlock that. Take it sometime tomorrow. Monday, Tuesday will be the other 2 quizzes, but there'll be nothing new. That's the main focus is to make sure the semester project, whether you're coming up here to work on it, obviously you have to do that, or just dropping it off, 5-minute pit stop. Or if you're already done with your semester project, all you got next week is those 2 short quizzes, you're good to go. Okay. So wherever stage 1 you followed in there, I think I covered everything, right? So I'll stay on here. I'm done for you guys. All right. So you got 3 quizzes coming up over the next couple of days, small, quick, to the point, and your semester project, and whatever daily stuff you haven't gotten in prior to this. So I didn't give you any new assignments today. Just laid out the next 3-4 days. Okay. All right. So anybody got any questions, comments, concerns? Like I said, I'm here. I'm not going to log off, so you know that's okay with you. I'll have this uploaded for those that maybe went back to sleep that needed to hear maybe A, not about roundworms, but B, what is expected of you next few days. So like I said, quiz tomorrow, Nigerians. The other 2 are next week. Semester project turned in by Tuesday. All right, I'm good. So you got any questions, comments, concerns? Let me know. All right, okay, all right, cool beans. No, Abe, I don't believe I did. I always wait till the end. Basically what I do when it comes with the, I wait till when I close it out and then I get a link that shows me everybody that logged in. So I wait then, because if you logged in a little late or whatever, you know, I've been kind of a pushover with that, you know, so I haven't been really overbearing with that or nothing, so don't worry about that. Just as long as you're staying up and you understand what you need to do for me, you know, the rest of today, tomorrow, and then by Tuesday. And I think, are you about done with the project? Do you remember? I don't remember.
Yeah, I'm done with the project.
Did you stop?
Turn it in Monday?
Excuse me?
Do I turn the semester project in by next week?
Yeah, by Tuesday. Just swing by my room. I'm here. Just swing by, take 2 seconds, you just drop it off. Yeah. You got it.
Perfect. All right. Thank you.
You bet. All right. I'll see you. All right. Let me know if you need anything. Okay. Bye-bye. I'm going to shut off the video here.